Pasadena. Welcome to all members, friends, and guests, here in person and virtually. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. My name is Andy Eaton. I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. Today's service is led by our Board of Trustees along with the bell choir as we explore walking together on the boundary. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. We have a number of announcements today. First off, bidding for Dining for Dollars and More happens next Sunday, March 27th on the patio from 10 to 1. Check this week's newsletter to view 25 exciting items and services in the online catalog, or check out the hard copy catalog on the Dining for Dollars table today on the patio. If you have questions, please ask one of our volunteers on the patio wearing a Dining for Dollars top hat. Plan ahead for your bidding and consider attending more than one event. Bid early, bid often. Well, you can't bid early, but bid often. Following our COVID guidelines, thank you for wearing masks indoors throughout today's services. Please complete the survey emailed earlier this week to share your perspective as we refresh our approach over the coming weeks. Board members will be on the patio after service for informal conversation as we prepare for our board meeting next Sunday. Pledge today on the patio or online before midnight tonight and receive one free Dining for Dollars and More raffle ticket for a chance at 5 amazing prizes. Actually, don't bid today don't pledge today because that will decrease my chances of getting one of those raffle tickets. It also, by the way, means that you won't have a canvasser call you. So do pledge today. As of Friday, we are already 40% of the way to our goal. Thank you for joining us as we continue to prioritize connection over perfection in this hybrid service, which is streamed on YouTube and which we're recording for future viewing. Seating is available in the back for those who want to be sure not to appear in the recording. We'll continuously learn and adapt to create joyful opportunities to be together while keeping our community safe. There are many ways to connect with our church community throughout the week, both in person and virtually. Whether you're new or ready to find new ways to engage, please visit our website and social media to learn more. That's also where you can find important information like contact info for board members and staff. Neighborhood Church upholds a covenant of right relations through which we commit to act so that the needs of the individual and the greater faith community can be in harmony. We covenant to honor one another, engage one another, and give to one another and our institution. This particular section seems particularly relevant today. We contribute our time, skills, and other resources. We commit to understanding and supporting our church structure, including administration and governance. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, whoever you are and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. Welcome to this inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service. And Myrna Peterson has another special announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Here it comes, here it comes. The Search Committee selection team is excited to announce that applications for the Senior Minister Search Committee are now being accepted. Please find the application on the church's ministerial transition webpage. This webpage also includes information about the expectations, time commitment, and requirements for joining the Search Committee. We are looking for folks who can work collaboratively, speak honestly, listen respectfully, are discerning, open to change, and will represent the congregation as a whole. If that's you, please apply. If you are not available or ready to serve yourself, please let us know who in the church you think would make a good candidate, and we will prompt them to apply. For further information or to nominate others for the committee, speak to the selection team on the patio after services for the next 3 Sundays, or you can attend a search committee info session today after the service in the neighborhood house dining room, or attend a search committee info session this Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. on Zoom. The selection team looks forward to hearing from you about this meaningful opportunity to serve our beloved congregation. Thank you.
My name is Joyce Wetzeltoft, and I'm honored to be taking part in this service led by your Board of Trustees. This morning, we light this chalice using words from a poem by Wendell Berry. The poem is entitled, "The Peace of Wild Things." When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives might be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 1008. By the way, as you're rising and settling and preparing yourselves vocally, Wells is on vacation this week. It's funny because he showed up at 9 o'clock to spend his vacation with Neighborhood Church. He loves us so much. But we're giving him a break from the piano this morning. We thank you for your loving embrace of our music making. This is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom of each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power in each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Good morning. morning. If our youth want to join us up front for the story for all ages, you're more than welcome to join me here. I'm going to be sharing The Math Curse by John Sieska and Lane Smith. We've been talking a lot about governance this past year, and you may find some common themes and recurring patterns that you might appreciate with that work. Come on up. On Monday, in math class, Ms. Fibonacci says, you know, you can think of almost everything as a math problem. On Tuesday, I start having problems. I wake up at 7:15. It takes me 10 minutes to get dressed, 15 minutes to eat my breakfast, and 1 minute to brush my teeth. Suddenly, it's a problem. If my bus leaves at 8 a.m., will I make it on time? How many minutes in 1 hour? How many teeth in one mouth? I look in my closet. The problem gets worse. I have 1 white shirt, 3 blue shirts, 3 striped shirts, and that 1 ugly plaid shirt my Uncle Zeno gave me. How many shirts is that altogether? How many shirts would I have if I threw away that awful plaid shirt? When will Uncle Zeno quit sending me such ugly shirts? I'm getting a little worried. Everything seems to be a problem. I take the milk out for my cereal and wonder, how many quarts in a gallon? I actually really have this problem. How many pints in a quart? How many inches in a foot? How many feet in a yard? How many yards in a neighborhood? How many inches in a pint? How many feet in my shoes? I don't even bother to take out the cereal. I don't want to know how many flakes are in the bowl. Ms. Fibonacci has obviously put the math curse on me. Everything I look at or think about has become a math problem. Are we making the connection now? Okay. I try to get on the bus without thinking about anything, but there are 5 kids already on the bus. 5 kids get on at my stop, 5 more get on at the next stop, and 5 more get on at the last stop. True or false? What is the bus driver's name? Ms. Fibonacci has this chart of what month everyone's birthday is in. Which month has the most birthdays? Which month has the fewest? Why doesn't February have a W? Do you think this chart looks like a row of buildings? Do you ever look at clouds and think they look like something else? And what does this ink blot look like to you? The whole morning is one problem after another. There are 24 kids in my class. I just know that someone is going to bring in cupcakes to share. We sit in 4 rows with 6 desks in each row. What if Miss Fibonacci rearranges the desks to make 6 rows? 8 rows, 3 rows, 2 rows. I count the 24 kids in our class again, this time by 2s. Jake scratches his paper with 1 finger. How many fingers are in our class? Casey pulls Eric's ear. How many ears are in our class? The new girl, Kelly, sticks her tongue out at me. How many tongues are in our class? I'm about to really lose it when the lunch bell begins, when the lunch bell rings. Unfortunately for me, lunch is pizza and an apple pie. Each pizza is cut into 8 equal slices. Each pie is cut into 6 equal slices. And you know what that means? Fractions. If I want 2 slices of pizza, should I ask for 1/8, 2/8, or 2 slices of pizza? What is another way to say 1/2 of an apple pie? 2/6, 3/6? I can't speak French, so I can't read that. Which tastes greater? 1/2 a pizza or 1/2 an apple pie? We haven't studied fractions yet, so I take 12 carrot sticks 3 at a time and eat them 2 at a time. In the afternoon, every subject is a problem. Social studies is a geography problem. The Mississippi River is about 4,000 kilometers long. An M&M is about 1 centimeter long. There are 100 centimeters in a meter and 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Estimate how many M&Ms it would take to measure the length of the Mississippi River. Estimate how many M&Ms you would eat if you had to measure the length of the Mississippi River. Bonus, can you spell Mississippi without any M&Ms? English is a word problem. If mail plus box equals mailbox, does lipstick minus stick equal lip? Does tuna fish plus tuna fish equal forna fish? Physical education is a sports problem. In 1919, Babe Ruth hit 29 home runs, batted .322, and made $40,000. In 1991, the average Major League Baseball player hit 15 home runs, batted .275, and made $840,000. Circle the correct answer. Babe Ruth is less than the average modern baseball player. Babe Ruth is greater than the average modern baseball player, or Babe Ruth is equal to the average modern baseball player. In art, we finally get to relax with a connect the dot picture. Here's my picture. Too bad it turns out to be a connect the ancient Mayan numerals picture. Math is just a total problem. Miss Fibonacci says there are many ways to count. She asks us to give some examples, and Russell counts on his fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Molly says 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Miss Fibonacci says I always count 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. But on the planet Tetra, kids only have 2 fingers on each hand. They count 1, 2, 3, 10. And on the planet Binary, kids only have 1 finger on each hand. They count 1, 10. What is the next 5 numbers in each sequence above? Do you think Miss Fibonacci has been to the planet Tetra? How would you bowl if you lived on the planet Binary? We are just about to go home when Rebecca remembers the special birthday cups that her mom made. There are 24 kids in the class. Rebecca has 24 cupcakes. So what's the problem? Rebecca wants Miss Fibonacci to have a cupcake too. So everyone is going crazy trying to figure out what fraction of a cupcake each person will get. I'm the first person to figure out the answer. I raise my hand and tell Miss Fibonacci, I'm allergic to cupcakes. Everyone, all 24, believe me and gets 1 cupcake. No one has to figure out fractions. This page is about money, and I don't like talking about money, so we're going to go ahead and skip to the next page. I am now a raving math lunatic. What if this keeps up for a whole year? How many minutes of math madness would that be? What's your problem, says my sister. 365 days times 24 hours times 60 minutes, I snarl. Dinner brings no relief. While passing the mashed potatoes, Mom says, what your father says is false. Dad helps himself to some potatoes and says, what your mother says is true. I think about that for a minute. If what Mom says is true, then what Dad says is false. But what if what Dad says is false, then what Mom says isn't true? And if what Mom says isn't true, then what Dad says isn't false? But that can't be true because he says that what Mom says is true and she says what he says is false. Can that be true? I think about it for a minute, then I think about it some more, then I think I better go to bed. I undo 8 buttons plus 2 shoelaces. I subtract 2 shoes, I multiply times 2 socks and divide by 3 pillows to get 5 sheep. Remainder 1, which is all I need to count before I fall asleep. Then the problem really begins. In my dream, I dream I'm trapped in a room with no doors and no windows. The room is covered with a lifetime of problems. I have only 1 piece of chalk. How do I get out? I'm about to give up and die when the answer to my problem comes to me in fractions. I break the chalk in half, then I put the 2 halves together. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. I put the hole on the wall and I jump out. I'm free. I wake up Wednesday morning at 7:15. It takes me 10 minutes to get dressed, 15 minutes to eat my breakfast, and 1 minute to brush my teeth. My bus leaves at 8 o'clock. What time will I be ready? 7:41. No problem. I've broken the math curse. I can solve any problem, and life is just great until science class, when Miss Newton says, you know, you can think of almost everything as a science experiment.
We'll sing our kids out to the Universalist song, which I don't think we have, but if you know it, sing along and create your fridge.
So good to have the kids back in here. And now, on a more serious note, the service today is being presented by the members of the board and is about the spirituality of governance. You may wonder, as I initially did, what governance has to do with spirituality. I never thought much about the intersection of governance and spirituality. Governance sounds like a dry topic, and spirituality is not supposed to be dry. Before the start of the church year, I did some summer reading in advance of my first year of board membership. I read Governance and Ministry by Dan Hotchkiss, who is a UU minister who writes, consults, and speaks widely for congregations and other nonprofits. This book has provided great inspiration to many congregations, including ours. However, I have to admit, it was very dry at the time. I was trying to read it on a road trip, and it could not compete with Zion Park and the Grand Canyon. Reading the book again in the context of real congregational change and without the distractions of national parks, the book is anything but dry and has made me see that church governance must be grounded in spirituality. In the book, Reverend Hotchkiss states that the basic paradox of organized religion is that it must create an environment in which people's lives may be transformed, but at the same time create a stable institutional environment. He says, leaders must continually balance the conserving function of an institution with the expectation of disruptive, change-inducing creativity that comes when individuals peek past the temple veil and catch fresh visions of the holy. While Reverend Hotchkiss does not provide a one-size-fits-all solution to church governance, he advocates for the qualities of openness to change, wide participation, strong partnerships, respect, clarity of roles, and accountability. So why must good religious governance be grounded in spirituality? I think it's because achieving the above qualities, like openness to change and respect for each other, and managing the paradox of stability versus change, are so challenging to us humans that we must draw on our spiritual connection to one another and whatever else gives us sustenance. I will end with a final quote from Governance and Ministry. Organized religion is a paradox worth puzzling over, a polarity worth managing, and an oxymoron worthy of a laugh. Congregations can infuriate, amuse, and outrage us, and they can also protect the vulnerable, inspire the cynical, and heal the sick soul. If, as leaders, we can learn to walk together on the boundary between excessive order and creative anarchy, then we may help to change lives for the better.
Each Sunday, our congregation expands our impact by dedicating 100% of contributions to a local social justice organization. This week, our gifts go to Young and Healthy. Mary Donnelly Crocker, the retiring, after some 30 years, executive director, is a longtime member of Neighborhood Church, and Shelby Rector, long a stalwart of Neighborhood, was instrumental in establishing Young and Healthy. So our connections with Young and Healthy go deep. Here to talk about the organization and present a brief video is Maya Crane, volunteer coordinator. Please give generously through our website, text to give, or the QR code or box available at the exit. If you wish to make a payment toward your pledge, make a note in the subject line or use an envelope available at the box outside. Maya?
I work at Young and Healthy. We're a local nonprofit here in Pasadena. It's a pleasure to be here today to share with you and hopefully connect with some of you after. We are so grateful for our partnership with Neighborhood. Like it was just mentioned, it's one of our founders, and we could not be doing what we are doing today without the ongoing, reliable support from all of you. Before I go into the video really does a great job of outlining our services and what we do on our day-to-day basis. But I did want to share a story quickly just about a client that we recently served. Young and Healthy is really known in the community for filling in the gaps. We are most known for filling in gaps within the healthcare system. We do partner with doctors and healthcare providers in the area who donate healthcare services to children who do not have health insurance or are underinsured. We've recently, through COVID and the world just changing, have kind of adapted our services and found new ways to fill in different gaps. The most recent way we are filling in the gaps is through offering tax preparation services. We are helping people file their taxes, doing their taxes for them, and through that we have been able to see huge refunds going back to these clients. I recently did taxes for a woman named Sarah who had a hard time coming in for her tax appointment. She kept missing her appointments. Because our staff is so hands-on, we were able to call her, continue to reschedule. She finally made it in for her appointment. She had her sister waiting in the car with her 2 children, and she walked in carrying a teeny tiny baby that looked to me it was born maybe that week. She gave me all her documents. I went in the back, prepared her taxes. Through legislation that got passed and tax credits that were being implemented this year, my jaw dropped when I saw how much she was about to get back. I walked out to her while she was breastfeeding her child and let her know that she was getting $14,000 back. Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you. I mean, for me, I was just like, let's just think about that for 1 second. This is a busy working mom who is about to get $14,000 in her bank account next week. That's a year of rent, that's food for her children, that's diapers, that's life-changing. So we are proud to just continue that work and see where our community needs help and provide that access. So I'll let you all watch the video, and I hope to connect with some of you after the service and talk. Thank you.
Every child deserves high-quality health care. But when complex systems and mounting expenses create barriers to access, getting that care isn't always easy. That's where Young and Healthy comes in. Based in Pasadena, California, we provide individualized care to children and families in need, offering access to health services, insurance for families that qualify, and health education to our community at large. When we receive a call about a child who is sick, has a toothache, or is in emotional distress, we simply link them to our network of volunteer doctors, at no charge to the family and no charge to us. The doctor then communicates with our staff about what follow-up care is needed, and we assign an individual case manager to that child to ensure they receive the treatment necessary. Though immediate care is essential, we believe the best solution goes beyond one-time treatment. We help enroll qualifying families into insurance plans, and we visit schools in the greater Pasadena area, educating children on the importance of dental hygiene and preventative care. We also work with teachers, parents, and the community at large to recognize the effects of trauma on a child's brain, empowering adults with the information they need to help a child thrive. Human connection is at the heart of our mission, and our staff and volunteers are there to provide care no matter how unique or severe a child's condition may be. Pasadena is our home, and in our house, no child goes unserved.
Hello again. What is home? Home can be a room or a house where we live our daily lives, where we're comfortable simply being, where we are nurtured, a place where we feel safe to be ourselves. Having a home comes with a responsibility. You have to maintain it, care for it, and invest in it. If you do nothing, it can literally fall apart. The same can be said of our spiritual home. For my husband and me, this place is Neighborhood Church. A little history. In 1997, about a year after we got married, my husband Eric and I came to Neighborhood Church looking for a spiritual home for our one child and any future children we would have. We became members in 1998. Our oldest daughter, Connie, went through the RE programs, OWL and ROP, Rites of Passage. As the years went by, our lives changed, and we had 2 more children. The campus also changed with the addition of the programs building and the labyrinth. Ministers changed too, but the programs and facilities were still here for our younger daughters, Catherine and Hannah. We have seen members come and go, but 24 years later, we are still here. Our children are now grown, and only one currently participates in church life. While we came to Neighborhood Church for our children's sakes, we stay for ours. Neighborhood Church is not just a building, it's a place that nurtures our souls and feeds our spirits. It has given us some of our closest friendships. It inspires us to be the best we can be. Neighborhood Church has given us so much. Now it's our turn to give to Neighborhood Church. It's time to invest in our spiritual home. Investment requires a financial commitment. For the past 24 years of membership, we have made a financial commitment to Neighborhood Church by pledging. Pledging assures us that Neighborhood Church, our spiritual home, will be here for us now and for when our daughters' families decide that they're ready to come back home. Please help ensure that Neighborhood Church, a spiritual home for myself and for many of you, can be a thriving community well into the future by pledging today if you haven't already done so, and to avoid those phone calls from pledgers. Thank you.
What a blessing it is to have the bells back. My name is Taylor Chazen. I'm honored to be serving on your Board of Trustees. Today's prayer is from the Reverend Dr. Kristen Harper. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. I do not wish to breathe another breath if it is not shared by others. The breath of mine is not mine alone. I brought myself to be with you, hoping that by inhaling the compassion, the courage, the hope found here, I can exhale the fear, the selfishness, the separateness I keep so close to my skin. I cannot live another moment, at least not one of joy, unless you and I find our oneness somewhere among each other, somewhere between the noise, somewhere within the silence of the next breath. I do not wish to breathe another breath if it is not shared by others. The breath of life is not my own.
Meditative hymn is number 1013, and children will open your heart. You'll see the text as usual projected on the slides, and I invite you to remain seated with a posture conducive to openness and fullness of singing as we join our voices together singing Open My Heart. We will sing it 4 times through, and you are welcome to indulge in canonic singing. You can sing the canon if you feel so inclined. Open my heart.
Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I am Julian Juarez, and it is an honor to be a member of the Board of Trustees, to be of service to you all. Secularism, the principle of separation of the state from religious institutions. A year ago, the board voted to add the recommendation to endorse the California Bill 1007 to the annual meeting, which was the Compensation for Survivors of Forced or Involuntary Sterilization Act. To the surprise of others on the board, I abstained. Not because I didn't believe in the bill, but because I believe that it was not my place to highly suggest my views and influence the church with political topics, especially when it came to voting. From my understanding, that was me being secular. And then through conversation and self-introspection, I asked for some help from my spouse and Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley to try to see different perspectives or things that perhaps I was not aware of or not seeing myself. The conversation began with my spouse, and she really helped me open up to different points of view. We went into deep conversations about my beliefs and other people's beliefs, and then went back to me, putting myself in their shoes, and if it was truly possible to separate myself from those things. For example, the very controversial topic of abortion. I'm pro-choice and believe that every person has the right to make decisions about their own body. I can also see how different religious practices or communities have fought for their beliefs in the legislature. Is that wrong? No. Is it keeping our state secular? I personally do not believe so, but it goes back to the point of beliefs. Spirituality, government, it all comes from the individual coming together to fight what they think is right, whatever right may be. So to get back to my research and introspection, the answer for me, being a being on this earth and separating my spirituality and political beliefs, was a strong no, which prepared me for my conversation with Reverend Dr. Teresa. Although I don't remember much of the words that we said due to getting to know each other and the delicious sushi getting in the way, I do remember leaving that lunch meeting in awe of the possibilities of how I, as a member of the Board of Trustees, can help move the congregation in unity forward into a future that we together as a community want to leave our church for our children and for the many generations to come. In me saying yes to endorse a measure was me saying yes to our shared beliefs as one. Not enforcing any one of you to vote the way I suggest. It was only to bring it into the light. Looking back now, is that my spirituality, I thought? Spirituality is many things for many people. And although it may be a journey, and it is not always explainable or experienced on this journey, I'm getting to see my growth as a person in knowledge, empathy, and compassion. That it is all commingled with my spirituality. This is where I see the creative anarchy that Ellen brought up and our own individual journey clashing with sometimes the excessive order that may be thought of as governance. I cannot speak for your ideas and beliefs, but who knew that by serving on the board, I would have such a rich spiritual experience? I surely did not. To be a little frank with you all, as a person of color growing up poor and seeing successful people on boards, I thought, how can I move closer to being a wealthy and successful person? And I tried to join other boards, one that wasn't too open to change or hearing different voices, and was very heavy on investment. And that's not the kind of people I wanted to be around. As I was leaving that possibility, the possibility of joining the church board arose. And in the mysterious ways that the universe heard my thoughts, meditation, prayers, whatever you want to call them, I said yes to our community, to our church. And without knowing it yet, I said yes to expand my spirituality in the most unexpected places, like our board. Can I, as a human, be secular? And what does that really mean? I, as a liberal-ish person going to a liberal church, is that really being secular? Can I remove my beliefs and morals aside to go to church? Is it two different things? I started to think about social justice and how at times it is very political, and how it comes up in two of our current principles, and the essence of it is throughout all our principles. In Principle 2, justice, equality, and compassion in human relations. And principle 6, the goal of the world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. As a true believer in our faith, I enacted principle 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So what does this all have to do with governance, you ask? Well, as a current board member and also a board member ending a little over a term this year, I want to let you know, first, it has been an honor serving you and our community, and second, that during these times, if you feel like something is not working right or in conjunction with our community, be the change you want to see here. Speak up, step up to change things for the better. I know that governance has been wonky, and at the moment we are doing our best to try to amend and shape and mold it, and need your help to do the same and configure it to our needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Zenaida. Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Sadlon. I'm president of the board, and it's wonderful to serve with this group of people. I also want to bring into the room today our 9th board member, Eunice Howe, who, because of health reasons, is joining us virtually, and she is represented in the space with us today with this beautiful woodcut from Assisi, a very special place to her, and she's a very special part of our board. Many of you have heard me say before that my husband Trace and I first came to Neighborhood in 2002 because we wanted a values-based community for our then 3-year-old daughter, Allie, a similar story to what Myrna shared. Over time, we discovered that we benefit from belonging to Neighborhood, that our lives have been transformed. Similarly, when I said yes 2 years ago to serving on the board, I thought it was because the time was right to bring my gifts to leadership, to help guide the congregation in co-creating a powerful future together. Once again, over time, I'm discovering the benefits I'm experiencing through this spiritual practice. Yes, the experience of governance as spiritual practice. While I've been able to tap my consultant skills of designing agendas, facilitating meetings, identifying opportunities, and asking powerful questions, I've also found that serving on the board is revealing what fundamentally informs my life, my personal theology of connection. Grace Lee Boggs, iconic pro-Black civil rights activist and organizer born to Chinese immigrant parents, said, "Building community is to the collective what spirituality is to the individual. Building community is our shared spiritual practice." In a time of ministerial transition, pandemic isolation, and national trends away from churches, we have the opportunity and necessity to imagine new ways of being. Boggs points the way. In this exquisitely connected world, it's never a question of critical mass. It's always about critical connection. How do we build, nurture, and sustain those critical connections here at Neighborhood? In our governance listening sessions, again and again, we heard from you the importance of committee and small group work in our church life, the spirituality in serving together. When we mapped the 65 committees, groups, and activities At Neighborhood, we visualized our community of communities, the countless ways people are stepping forward, even through the pandemic. How can being on a committee determining our COVID guidelines, writing policies, or recruiting new leaders be spiritual practice? Again, Boggs offers guidance. You cannot change any society unless you take responsibility for it, unless you see yourself as belonging to it and responsible for changing it. Coming together with purpose as a board, on committees, or in groups is one way of exercising belonging here at Neighborhood that has been true for me and you share is important to you. We experience these administrative activities as ministry because in them we come together for a values-grounded common purpose. As Sue Phillips says, the soulful question at the heart of congregational leadership is, what meaning will we make? What values will we serve? It's in coming together to ask and answer those questions that we build community, deepen those critical connections, and fortify ourselves to transform the world. Because we are committed to our shared values and each other, serving together gives us opportunities to hear each other with compassion, see our challenges from different perspectives, reveal our own assumptions and patterns, practice flexibility, prioritize the common good over our individual desires, and invite ways to deepen relationship across differences. In this way, we meet Hotchkiss's challenge that Ellen shared earlier to learn to walk together on the boundary, to balance the conserving function of institution and disruptive change-inducing creativity, to balance the stabilizing power of organization and the transforming power of religion. By creating a stable religious institution, we create space for the instability that religious transformation brings. If you come to my house to visit, it's likely I'll ask, would you like a cup of tea? It's a chance to share one of my spiritual practices, a ritual through which I connect with my senses and the present moment. Early yesterday morning, I opened my laptop, made a cup of tea, pulled up my collection of notes for this homily. I bobbed my tea bag, and there, on the tag, the quote said it all. Every neighbor can be your teacher, which paired beautifully with one last observation from Grace Lee Boggs, that we urgently need to bring the neighbor back into the hood. I see now how the theme of what does it mean to be a good neighbor that has animated our past year is grounded in my personal theology of connection. This question has been a prompt for board members as we've opened each of our monthly meetings. It has been carried out in visits to the geographically nearby neighbors as we've had conversations in their homes over the past months, and in reaching out to Scott United Methodist Church across the street. We welcome each other as neighbors by sharing those stories, recognizing our history and past challenges. We open ourselves individually and collectively to being transformed and spreading our values-based ministry beyond our walls. As our opening prayer today reflected, I know I am not alone in sometimes waking in the night with despair for the world. I am grateful for this community and the opportunity to deepen my own spiritual practices as we work together to balance between order and chaos. If I awake in the middle of the night with concerns about the church, I comfort myself back to sleep with the faith in the people, our community, saying yes to the hard work, yes to each other, yes to making decisions based on values, with a commitment to each other that stretches from our origin in 1885 far into the future. Thank you.
We are going to sing hymn number 1014 in these books, Rise as You Are Able, and sing along with Answering the Call to Love. The promise of the Spirit, the hope of love abide, and so every soul is blessed with that hope. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are entering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, it's willing to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the love of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call to love. A bright new day is dawning when love is not divided. Reflection of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the love of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the love of love. We are answering the call to love.
Thank you for joining us this morning and this afternoon, and for adjusting the words to that song, a long-beloved song that we've adjusted to be more welcoming and accessible. Our benediction today comes from the Reverend Monica Cummings, who stood witness over the last 18 months on both the courthouse and Bradford Community Church steps in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Take time each day to remember that you are part of the interconnected web of life.
Bless a stranger with a smile. Tell the people in your life how much they mean to you.
And take a moment every day, beginning today, to give thanks for all that you have.
May you have the strength, courage, or commitment to continue the rewarding journey of self-understanding.
May you have the wisdom to forgive yourself, the grace to ask for forgiveness, and the compassion to forgive others. You are the co-creator of your life. It's up to you.
Forgive your trespasses as you forgive those who trespass against you.
May you live your beliefs and feel at one with everyone and everything.
Blessings unto you, blessings unto me, blessings unto all living things. Blessed be. We look forward to connecting with you outside on the patio. Thank you for being here.
Our last piece is The Great Gated Key. It is in tribute to the people